Okay, so today we are going to do a demonstration for the blended tip. The blended tip is a part of the practical portion of the state board examination. And the first step is to do what, Zane?
Sanitize your hand before examining.
Yes. Okay. And literally at state board, you're going to do that, and then you want to rub this in as if this was an actual person. The number one thing at state board, they want to see that you are putting the safety of the client first. Because sanitizing is very important. And she would have sanitized her hands. Now I'm going to sanitize my hands. What's the next step?
Yeah, you push it.
Okay, I need you to speak up a little bit. We're gonna pick a nail. So now you pick a nail, a finger, the ring finger. Okay. So we're gonna push back the cuticles. Okay. After we push back the cuticle.
Buff natural nails gently to remove the shine.
Okay. And what does the shine represent on the nail?
Oil.
Oil, precisely. So we want to buff the shine off of the nail. I prefer the white block buffer to the black buffer because the white buffers do not leave behind any debris or any pepper, as I call it, like the black ones would. So after you buff,
Select nail tip that fit natural nail.
okay, so before we select the tip, I just like to remove the debris out of the side walls of the nail. All right, so now it's time to size the tip. The sizing of the tip is critical, one, to the fit and finish of the blended tip. Now, once you've been doing nails long enough, you can kind of eyeball it. You can look at the nail and determine which nail will best fit the width of the nail. So we want to make sure that tip goes from side wall to side wall. The side walls of the nail are from here to here, okay? And based on this tip, this is a number 3 in this particular brand. Every brand may be a little different. As the manufacturer determines, their 3 might be a little bigger or smaller. So, okay, fine. I have selected my tip. After I've selected my tip,
Apply nail dehydrator.
okay, so today we're using ASP Prep and Clean Dehydrant. And basically what this does is take out any moisture in the nail plate. And given that this is plastic, you don't want to oversaturate the plastic because, of course, this would perform differently on an actual person's nails because it's a human nail. The human nail would literally absorb it and balance what we call the pH, which is the potential hydrogen in the nail plate. So after we've applied the dehydrant,
Apply adhesive to the nail wall.
okay, and so what is the adhesive?
The nail glue.
That's nail glue. Today we're using IBD brush on nail glue. We're gonna put this in the well of the tip. Someone explain to me what the well is. And Kiki, you can jump in if you like.
The part you put on the nail?
Absolutely. The well of the nail is what is adhered to the natural nail plate. Okay, so there are 2 types of nail tips. One is the full well. The full well is what we're using today. There's also a half well option. So you want to hold this nail until you feel like it has begun to bond to the natural nail. Do me a favor and grab one of those glue accelerators. Okay, so at state board, we want to always proceed with caution, and we want to make sure that this nail, thank you, is dry. Now, mind you, if we were doing a person, we would have selected each nail from the left hand pinky finger, stacking them 2 by 2. Once we've applied all of the nail tips, we would spray. Today we're using Hurry Up Nail Glue Dryer, Formula 10, which is my favorite brand. You would spray over the nail tip to accelerate the drying of the glue. Now, given that this is one nail that we're doing, you definitely want to spray, and you want to hold that nail for a little while. I'd say upwards of a minute. So you want to hold this about 3 inches away from the nail, and you want to give this about 3 good sprays. Don't worry about it. And so now we want to kind of test the nail, because the last thing we want is to be at stay board and we cut this nail and the whole nail goes flying off. So we don't want that. So we are going to use a toenail clipper, a large toenail clipper. And using this, you want to hold the nail in place, and you want to cut on either side to make an indentation, and then flip it over and then twist off. Okay. Now we want to use a coarse file. Is that where are we in the directions? After we apply the nail tip.
So trim nail tip, blend tip into natural.
Okay, so we've trimmed the nail tip and then blend
tip into natural nail plate.
blend tip into natural nail plate. Now, these plastic hands are pretty firm, but you can separate that nail, be aggressive with it. And you want to take your file, and now you're using hand-eye coordination. And when I say that, I'm really emphasizing, as you're filing, you don't want to file on the natural nail. You want to avoid the natural nail. And you're going to first start with the coarse side, not completely flat, but you're going to lift up at an angle. Can you catch that? Okay, so you're not going to go completely flat, but you want to lift up. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That way you are focusing your filing just on the seam of the nail tip and not her natural nail. Why do you think that's important? You don't want to thin out the natural nail, precisely. Now, once you begin to see that seam begin to disappear, all right, now we want to go over, I flipped my file. Now you want to go over with the softer side, and that should nicely blend the seam of that tip. Once I've blended the seam, now I want to come over to the side wall, because we want to make that tip appear as if it grew straight out of her nail bed. And you always want to etch the surface of the nail tip so that the finish is consistent. Okay, and at this point, we can file this nail any shape we like. I always recommend, when you're starting out with your stay board practice hand, that you always shape the natural nail. This is representing the natural nail. To always shape it round, so that when you apply the tip, it fits right into the well of the nail, because the well of the nail is round. Okay, so once we have shaped the nail, we want to finish up with our black buffer, correct? Okay, so what does it say after you buff the nail? Okay. You want to make sure that the edges underneath are not sharp, because your examiner will be checking this nail holistically. Taking my nail brush, getting off any dust. And also, you always want to show the examiner a dust-free hand, because they are handling other practice hands. And taking a lint-free nail wipe, go ahead and wipe that nail down and the rest of her hand. Okay. And that is, I'm gonna close up on that, a blended nail tip for stay board.